So company to win in the marketplace now has to make strategic choices. That means what are those decisions that it needs to take so that it can win in the marketplace. How do you identify strategic options? Now there are a couple of concepts and certain key frameworks that allow you to do so. And we will be looking at some of these frameworks in this particular unit. So we'll provide you, this video will provide you with an overview, and then the details of each of the concepts and frameworks will be discussed in class. Here we are looking at three key topics. So one is corporate level strategy, second is business level strategy, and third is how do we formulate some directions for strategy development. So we have talked about in our earlier classes on what is corporate level strategy and business level strategy, but let's kind of have a look at this again. And to do so, let's understand the concept of a multi-business organization. What does a multi-business organization mean? Now, in a multi-business organization, you have a corporate parent and you have multiple businesses. Generally, companies start off as a single business unit, and then over a period of time, they grow into multi-business unit. So, for example, we can, for example, Tata, which started off as a single business unit, as a trading division, and then over a period of time, it has now grown to this huge multi-business unit where it is into steel, information technology, tea, cars, and so on and so forth. So strategy has to happen at two levels. One is at the corporate level and second is at the business level. Okay. So to move forward, let's again understand one more concept, which is a strategic business unit. What is a strategic business unit? A strategic business unit supplies goods or services for a distinct domain of activity. Generally, a small business will have one SBU, whereas if you have a large diversified corporation such as Tata, Reliance, they will have multiple business units. SBUs can also be called divisions or profit centers because the profit and loss is managed at an SBU level, and generally they would also be headed by a senior management team with responsibility for P&L. They can also be identified by market-based criteria. So you can, if there's a large business, they can create small business units which are around customers, channels, or competition. Or you can have it around capabilities based criteria. That means companies which have similar strategic capabilities can be organized into an SBU. So an example could be that if you are an FMCG manufacturer and you make multiple products, you could divide it by, let's say there are certain products which you sell to the hospital section, and there are certain products that you sell to the consumer retail. So you could organize your SBU around that. You could around it around product. But the fundamental thing is that a SBU will be an independent unit with P&L responsibility headed by a senior management team. Now, when you have multiple businesses, and generally they also extend across countries, they also extend across markets. So what are the challenges of dealing with multiple units across many markets? So here you are generally faced with two challenges. One is the scope of an organization. That means how far should you take your organization? That is reflected in the diversification, and diversification is of two types: product diversity and market diversity. Secondly is integrations. Does the company integrate vertically or horizontally? So if you take the example of Reliance, if it goes it for vertical integration, that means it starts acquiring petrol pumps so that it can buy oil, refine it and sell it. That is an example of vertical integration. Product diversity would mean that where you are manufacturing a certain kind of product and then you diversify into different kind of products. Market diversity would be that you operate in a certain market and then you may decide to extend into other market. That is one aspect. The other aspect is how is value added or destroyed at the corporate level. So as I talked about earlier, that a multi-business unit will be headed by a corporate parent. What role does that corporate parent play in managing the multiple businesses that it has? So there are two roles that it plays. One is the corporate parenting role, which we'll talk a little ahead, and the other is portfolio management. And what are the tools to manage portfolio is something that we will look at later on. So now we are looking at some of the metrics which will allow you to do some of the things that we talked about. For example, let's start with the basic 2x2 matrix known as the BCG or the Boston Consulting Group matrix, which is also known as the growth share matrix. So this is a 2x2 matrix. This is a 2x2 matrix between market share and market growth. Okay, and you have four quadrants. The first quadrant is high market share and high market growth. These are your stars. Low market share and low market growth are your question marks. Low market share and low market growth are your dogs, and high market share and high market growth are your cash cows. So what does this mean? You take two parameters and take your companies or products and you look at the market share and you look at the market growth, and then you plot them on these particular quadrants. Now depending on where the business or product falls on the quadrant, you can take strategic decisions. For example, stars may require more investment, so you could investigate that. Question marks may require more analysis, whether they can become stars or whether they'll go into dog. Cash cows are what generate your steady cash flows, so you need to understand how to optimize that. And dogs would mean do you divest or do you kind of keep them for strategic reasons. This is just an indicator. This is just a way of plotting your market share, market growth, and gives you an indication of what are the possible things that you could do. Now the BCG has certain limitations, and because of this limitations, there's another matrix which is the directional policy matrix or the GE McKinsey model. Now here the plotting again is on two variables, which is industry attractiveness and business strength. But within industry attractiveness and business strength, to make this particular index, you can look at multiple factors depending on what you believe is important and construct the index. And then based on these two factors, the index that you calculate, you can plot your companies or products on a 3x3 matrix, which gives you 9 quadrants, and each of the quadrant suggests a specific route of action, which again you can decide and analyze and whether you should be taking it or not. So that was the second part. Now I remember I mentioned about the fact that corporate plays a parenting role also. So what is the parenting role that a corporate plays? Now there are three possible parenting roles. One is that as a portfolio manager, the corporate can act as a portfolio manager. That means that the companies are a part of the portfolio that a corporate has, and so it will decide whether to invest, how to invest, where to invest, and BCG matrix or the G matrix is one possible tool that could be used. The second role they could play is that of a synergy manager. Here, here it kind of creates a synergy between the various SBUs that it has. And parental developer means that it provides certain capabilities that the corporate parent has to the various SBUs. Another concept that we need to understand is, why do companies go in for international diversification? Why does a company decide to go out from its home country to an international market. Now, there could be multiple reasons. Broadly, they are market based, or they may want to utilize certain strategic capabilities, or they may go in for economic benefits. So in terms of strategic choices, a tool that is available is Porter's generic strategy. Now by generic strategy, it means that these strategies can be applied across all types of businesses. What is Porter's generic strategy? Again, it's a 2 by 2 matrix, and what he argues is that you can achieve competitive advantage by either going in for low cost or high differentiation. That means you can either opt for a cost leadership or you can opt for differentiation. His argument is that you cannot have an in-between route, because both these approaches require a total different setup to achieve this particular. And then you could also focus on a very narrow target and looking at cost focus and difference focus. Just to give a quick example, if you look at retail outlets like Big Bazaar or Reliance, they are focused on cost leadership. That means they cut costs throughout their whole supply chain. Whereas somebody like Nature's Basket by Godrej looks for differentiation by providing gourmet products, high-end products at slightly higher prices. So to kind of take Porter's generic strategy forward, the concept of hybrid strategy is also advanced. Now, what does hybrid strategy mean? Is that you can have a in-between strategy between low price and differentiation strategy, where you on one side lower your cost and the other side you look at differentiating your product. The strategy clock is more on the concept of the price to the consumer that you offer. So an example of hybrid strategy, IKEA is a good example of pursuing hybrid strategy. And then here you have non-competitive strategy. The plot is between price, so the high from low to high price, and what are the perceived benefits. So from the consumer's perspective, as the price increases, the perceived benefit goes up, and where does it fall on the strategic options that you have. Now, in terms of corporate strategic directions, or even at an SBU level, you can also use the Ansoff matrix. Now, Ansoff matrix has been discussed earlier also, so I'll just quickly move through that. Here you look at your product, services and market, and then you take your existing product, existing market, going for market penetration. You look at new products, new markets, going for new products and services. You look at existing products, new markets is market development, and then new products and new markets is diversification. Remember, we also did the SWOT analysis, where you look at the strengths, weakness and opportunities, strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats. How do you convert this and identify strategic choices? So you can use the Tow's matrix. Now, what is Tow's matrix? Tow's matrix is you take your internal factors, strengths and weaknesses on one side, you take the external factors, opportunities and threats, and start looking at your strategic options. So what strengths can you use to generate exploit opportunities available in the market? How can you take opportunities by overcoming your weaknesses? How do you use your strengths to avoid threats? And how do you minimize weaknesses and avoid threats? So when you answer these questions using your strengths and weakness, you are again able to generate certain strategic ideas, certain strategic options which you can make part of your strategic plan. So that brings me to the end of this particular video. Now, this was a very quick and very short introduction to some very key concepts and key frameworks that you would be using in identifying or formulating strategic choices. I would strongly advise you to look at each of these frameworks very, very carefully, substantiated by doing examples, because these are frameworks that will come in handy in your business career. what is important is to understand which framework should you be using at what point in time. So the problem should help you identify which framework to use. Okay, so keep that in mind as you learn these particular concepts, and we will be covering all of this in much more detail in class. So look forward to seeing you in class, and thank you.